Welcome to the Next Chapter podcast. If you are a professional or an entrepreneur that's ready to dive headfirst into your next chapter of business success and create a kick-ass freaking life, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Rob Murgatroyd, and I'll be bringing you some game-changing insights, great interviews, and real-life transformations of people who have made a leap into their next chapter. Strap in and let's get this party started. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another double shot episode where I grab a double shot of espresso and I take you for a walk with me through the streets of Florence and I share with you what's on my mind. What's on my mind now is I'm going through a process that I'd like to share with you, and it's basically it's like a meditation, I think. It's probably the best way to put it would be a meditation, but it's kind of not really, but it kind of is. What I'm doing is I'm identifying all of the thoughts, behaviors, emotions, and beliefs that I have that are not serving me. Like I'm literally listing them out. So I'm going to walk you through a process, and I want you to I'll walk you through it, and then you could just, maybe we'll put this in the show notes so it makes sense, so that you could do it yourself. So here's what you do. You make a list. We're going to go through this step by step. First, we're going to go through your thoughts. What are the thoughts that you need to stop thinking? Thoughts like, I can't do this, I don't have enough time, I'm going to start it tomorrow. What are those thoughts that you just keep thinking over and over again, and no matter how much you try, it's like the default software in your brain, and you just keep thinking them? So what I want you to do is I want you to just literally write them down. Like for me, I'm in the process of writing a book. So like I get this, as I'm going through this process, it'll be like writing a book is hard. The book is never going to be successful, blah, 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 right? You know what I'm talking about, the crazy shit that you have in your head. Write all of those things down. So the next thing I want you to do is think about behaviors. What are the habits and behaviors that you really need to stop demonstrating? Maybe how you speak unconsciously that you want to change. Review yourself acting that way, when you're complaining or when you're blaming other people or when you're making excuses or when you're rushing through things. Be aware of them and commit them to memory so that you can catch yourself during the day. So, maybe you've got behaviors where you're drinking too much, or you're talking too much, or you're going unconscious when you are out with friends and you're eating, or you interrupt people, or you're cursing. Whatever it is, whatever those things are that you decide are behaviors that you want to change, these are the default behaviors that you have that you just naturally do, but then when you do them, you feel really guilty that you're doing them. Make a list of those. Then move into your emotions. What are the familiar feelings that you really need to stop experiencing? Like what are the things that on a regular basis that you keep thinking, like, you're not believing in your future, or, you're connected to these past experiences that you really don't like. You want to bring in front of you all of these emotions like worrying, being stressed, being depressed, feeling anxious, maybe focusing on all the things that you don't have instead of focusing on what you do have. But there's a default set of emotions that you are feeling. Now, there's a little bit of some people get thoughts and emotions mixed up. So instead of saying like I'm sad, they'll say, I feel like you're not getting me. Well, that's actually not a feeling that you're not getting me. It's a thought. But people lump them together. So it's okay to do that. Just know that if you're hearing this going, well, that's not a thought, that's an emotion, we're lumping them together, emotions and thoughts. So what the goal of this is to make a list of all of the thoughts that you have on a regular basis, all of the behaviors that you don't like and you want to change, and all of the emotions. These are all the things that are connected to the old self that you want to change. We want to create a new self. Well, the only way we can create a new self is by having an awareness of what the old self is. Now, this work comes from Joe Dispenza, and I love it because most of us try and say, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, and life is great, and we have all these affirmations, but the software program in our brain is running these old patterns. Well, how do you interrupt it? You got to be aware that they exist so that when you go through the day and you start doing this shit, you'll start going, oh, I just did a meditation this morning where I was thinking about these things and I'm doing it again. And then your brain starts to lay down new software, you're installing new hardware that'll eventually become software. So the whole goal is to create a new personality and actually become someone else. So the last part of this is now we want to think, okay, well, if I want to become someone else, what is it that I want to install in my head? Well, I want to install, things like, I can do anything that I decide I can do. I got this. I'm a successful guy. I'm a marketing genius. Whatever the thing is for you, you want to write these things down so that you've installed this new programming in your head. And you want to mentally rehearse these things of who you're going to be today. Rehearse your actions, how you're going to be with certain people, how you're going to be in certain conditions, and remind yourself that you are installing this hardware in your brain and rehearse what you're going to do. Now, I got to tell you, when I first started to do this, I was like, this is weird. And then after literally the second day, maybe the third day, I started to see it and I started to go, oh shit. Once you can catch yourself, then you're outside of the machine and you can see inside of the machine. You start to go, oh my God, I am doing it. And it stopped, instead of being just positive, make a list of all of these things and look at them. You start to go, oh shit, I'm doing these things. This makes perfect sense to me. So I'd love you to give this a shot and let me know how it goes. Look, I've been there, craving something different as a professional. Maybe you want to level up your business. Maybe you love what you do, but you need some time freedom. Or maybe you're ready to say goodbye to it all and dive into a totally new world of business. Either way, I've got you covered. My coaching programs will help you reverse engineer a plan that will help you take the next step in creating the success and life you've always dreamed of. In the show notes, you'll see a link for a one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching. Just hit up one of those links in the show notes and we'll jump on a free discovery call.